and welcome to the Shrine of Anubis. If you're new here, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back and nice to see you again. I had to delete a 20-minute video because I feel that I was talking too much and not really explaining to you how I set boundaries, which is the topic of this video for today. So, I remember that last week I told you, hey, I have a couple stories that I can share with you. Maybe I'll share them in the next video. That's not going to happen. I'm not about to make a 40-minute video today. So I'll leave that for another time. So for today's video, I will be addressing how to set boundaries. And I do want to say, however, that I will be speaking from personal experience. I am in no way, shape, or form a psychiatrist, psychologist, or counselor, or any type of licensed expert to give any type of advice. So I would suggest that if you are having issues with someone or trying to get away from someone, or if you feel that you're having issues in general with dealing with people, that you go to a appropriate counselor that can definitely help you out with how to handle your own problems. I understand that sometimes we want to wing it all on our own, easy peasy, easy clap. Sometimes we need external help, and it's perfectly fine if you need to reach out to someone else outside you that can help you out from a more neutral point of view to put some things in place, piece some puzzles together, some pieces of the puzzle together. I would suggest that, but imagine affording a counselor in America. So, for today's topic for this video, how I set boundaries. Where do I start? The reason why I deleted the previous video was because I was sharing with you the scenarios that made me realize what boundaries I needed and how to set them in place. So, I will try again to not get into too much detail. Hopefully the nitty gritty so that you understand why I had to set a boundary in place and how I knew that I needed to set a boundary. So case number one, Amanda, in a nutshell, very close friend, quote unquote, back in 2015, so 6 years ago. We were both very spiritual, very into ufology, very into aliens and stuff, into incense, body butters, and soaps and candles and quartz and everything. And we were both bisexual, and we had a lot of things in common. We were very close friends. However, she was very clingy, manipulative, and obsessive, and very possessive as well over me. And if there was a day that went by without me messaging her, she would get very angry, very pissed off, and very hostile. And she would confront me about it in private messages, like, hey, what did I do wrong? Why are you not talking to me? Did I do something wrong? Nobody cares about me. Oh my God, I'm so lonely, whatever. And I would have to, give her support and love and comfort and reassure her that it wasn't her that was the problem, that I was simply taking care of my mother or in uni, because at the time I was just getting started with university. So I had to go to campus and stuff, and there were days where I was very, very busy. So I eventually got fed up with her, and I started to notice that she was kind of sketchy with me. Whenever we would meet up in webcam, she would never turn on her webcam, but she would always get mad at me if I didn't turn on my webcam to show my face to her. So I started to find that very weird. Very strange. And her excuse was, oh, I just traveled recently. I don't know where my webcam is in my luggage, but I'll find it eventually. So me, knowing where she was coming from, I would be like, well, let me gift you one. After all, you have gifted me a lot of things, and I have your address already because I have sent you stuff, so let me give you a gift of a webcam. And she would get super hostile with me. So how I knew that I needed a boundary with her was that I simply needed to go no contact. What does that mean? This is when you cut off contact with someone right off the bat. No messages, no nothing, no apologies, no questions, nothing. Don't even give the person the chance to get in contact with you. And That's what I did with her. At the time, I really wasn't active on many social media websites. It was only Facebook and perhaps Skype. So I cut off contact with her off the bat from those two. Now, I forgot to tell you that while we were friends and while she was getting angry at me for not messaging her within the day, she befriended my mother on Facebook, who doesn't speak English, to track my online activity and see where I was commenting on and to whom, what I was talking about and to whom. And with my mother, she would translate comments to see what the hell I was talking about with my mom whenever my mom would share things on her page. So that was something else that I found very creepy, besides the no webcam thing. Those were the two things that made me think, this person is very weird, very sketchy. I don't like this. There's something in my soul. There's something that doesn't sit well with me, and I have to end this with her. And she called me one day very, 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 very angry. And I simply cut off contact with her. Didn't give her a chance to talk to me, to message me, nothing. I simply cut off contact with her. She knew I was already pissed off. And she was trying to gaslight me and pretend that my reality wasn't real, that she wasn't doing anything, and that I was being a little bit hostile with her when she was the one being hostile with me for me not messaging her within the day, for having a life. Imagine. So that was the first case where I set one of my first boundaries, which was to be discerning. Number one, be discerning of the situation around you. I mean, of the situation that you're involved in the environment around you, and in the people that you're surrounded with, or the person that you're with. Be very discerning, because a lot of people are very sneaky and love to manipulate through emotions. And this can come across as narcissism, but not everyone is a narcissist necessarily. Narcissists actually lack emotions towards other people. They only care about themselves. They only have emotions towards themselves. That's why they're always feeling sorry for themselves, and why they're always jealous of other people's success, because they want that for themselves. So they don't care. They don't care about you. So that's a very different case here. In this case with Amanda, I was not dealing with a narcissist. However, on the second case named David, this was someone that I fell in love with and who was responding to me in the same way, but then out of nowhere, I'm imagining things because he never said anything in the first place, even though he told me he wanted to fuck me and meet me and hang out together on our birthdays and whatever. And came up with a minor that he was in love with, a 30-year-old man, old ass fucker, who was in love with a minor out of nowhere. And he started to gaslight me that I was imagining things, that he never said anything, that he never implied anything, that the reason why he wanted to get close to her was because he was interested in her. And I'm like, you never told me this. But what helped me in this situation, because I was alone, nobody knew what I was going through, was evidence of conversations that I had with him months prior to the shit show. And so I would show him screenshots. So number one, be observant. Be discerning of your situation, environment, and people around you. Number two, have evidence in some way, shape, or form to back up your boundaries. But at the same time, you don't really need to have evidence to set a boundary in place. You can set it because you freaking want to. You don't need something to back up your reason why you need a boundary. In my case, it helped me to confront the person that was, in a way, attacking me emotionally and mentally through emotional manipulation and gaslighting. So because of this, things got heated up very quickly. Things went down very quickly between us because even though he lied to me, I still kind of wanted to be friends with him. Um, even though he lied about loving me. So the boundary that I had to set in place with this guy was to reflect the emotional manipulation that he was doing to me. I was reflecting, and it didn't help that we were both Pisces. Oh, God. And as you know, Pisces can be very manipulative. So I was falling prey to his manipulations, but when I started to wake up from it, like 3-4 months later or something, I started to reflect back at him, his manipulations and his lies towards me. I don't know how I did it. I just somehow knew how to do it and reflect it back to him. I knew his weak points. That's the thing. I think that's what helped me. I knew his weak points because even though we were very long distance, on the other side of the world, we still had this weird psychic connection where I knew what he was feeling and he knew what I was feeling. And in a sense, we could read our thoughts. And it was something very disturbing because sometimes I would approach him with something and he would say, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And vice versa. He would approach me with something and I would say, "How the hell do you know that?" And he's like, "Oh, I just know things." So I knew his weak points. So I knew where to attack him back whenever he would attempt to attack me after lying to me that he loved me in the first place. So it was a very toxic friendship, quote unquote, if you can call it that. And at the time, I did not know how to defend myself. So what I knew of what to do was to reflect his manipulation tactics back to him by also being emotionally manipulative with him. And just reflecting what he would send to me, such as gaslighting. "Oh, this never happened." And I would somehow turn it around against him. So, first boundary, be very observant of your surroundings, environments, situations, and people. Second, sometimes you will have to reflect back the attack of somebody. But second, if you can have physical evidence, especially if other people don't believe you, do have them. But again, this is not something for you to go by to set a boundary. You don't need an evidence of anything to set a boundary in place. As long as you know, as long as you don't like something, that's all that matters. That's enough evidence. But in my case, I love to have evidence about things and screenshots. I have screenshots of arguments of years ago with people that are no longer friends with me, but that I still keep just in case. Because I know how some people let years go by to then attack you out of nowhere with something. So I have the evidence to shut them up. Number 3. I think I can divide, I think I can separate the David case into the third point. Sometimes you have to play filthy with those that play dirty with you, and that is okay if it means that you are finding a way to survive and to get out of there. In my case, I did have to deal with him for some time, but I wasn't shutting up about anything. I wasn't just taking the hits and not responding. I was also reflecting back what he was doing and saying to me. And again, this was somebody that was trying to get me to commit suicide. So things got very, very, very dark. But even then, I still persevered and I still busted through the whole bullshit that lasted 9 months, really. And eventually I went no contact with this person. So in a lot of situations, you can have the ability to go no contact immediately. Sometimes it will take some time. If it's a parent, if it's a neighbor, if it's somebody that you can't get rid of so easily. So you have 2 options, which can be number 4. Connected to number 3. You can either reflect what they throw at you, back at them, or you can choose to ignore if you feel that you're mentally and emotionally strong enough to withstand their tactics. I know that there are people that are dealing with manipulative parents or ex-partners, but you have kids and the partner has to still see the kid even though you're no longer together. So I would recommend that if you want to choose to ignore, do avoid the person as much as possible in that case. Avoid a person as much as possible. Spend as little time with them as possible. Distance yourself as much as you can. If something happens that someone is trying to involve both of you into, like, oh, hey, I have a party. I invited this person to the party too. I hope you don't mind. Either don't go to the party or be there, but just do your best to not hang out with this person that you're trying to distance yourself from. In a nutshell, you can choose either no contact or ignore if you have to deal with them due to things or people on the way that make you have to have contact with them. But you have to be very discerning again. And if you need to collect evidence, do so. And third, if the person wants to start shit with you, again, the power is yours if you choose to ignore or to reflect. But I would recommend that you avoid them as much as possible, because in the end, what you're doing, if you continue to expose yourself to them, is you're absorbing their energy. Unless you have protective amulets or crystals with you or some other form of protection to handle their energy. But if I were you, if I were you, I would avoid conflict. I would distance myself and just break off the contact if possible. Now, of course, I can't relate if it's an ex-partner that you have to meet up with because they want to see your kid or something, or a parent that wants to see your grandkids or something. That's a whole nother can of worms where I don't have the experience to tell you what to do. But to summarize this video, number one, as to how to set boundaries. Number one, be discerning, be observant of your situation and environment and people around you. What is happening and why? And why do you not feel comfortable? So base your boundary on the why, the reason behind your sense of not feeling comfortable or safe. Is this person very clingy, very possessive, very stalkerish? No contact. That's going to be my boundary. Number two, have evidence if you need to. You never know when it can help you out. But number two, it's not an excuse to have a boundary in place. You don't need to have evidence of what somebody is doing to you to have a boundary in place. You don't need to. It can help you to reinforce your mind, your thoughts, that you're not imagining things, that this person is being this way. But then again, you don't need to have evidence. If it's somehow not possible for you to collect the evidence, it's okay. But number two, you don't need anything to back up your reason why you want to have a boundary against someone or against a group. Number three, there will be times where you will have to reflect the toxicity back to the person that is being toxic with you. But then again, if these are psychic vampires that you're dealing with, what they want to do is to absorb your energy and to rile you up, because they want that. They want to piss you off, to feed off of that energy, because it empowers them. It makes them happy. My case number two here, he wanted me to commit suicide, and he would feel happy when I was genuinely depressed because of him lying to me that he never loved me in the first place and that he was fooling me. He took joy of my depression and my suicidal tendencies and thoughts, and he was trying to motivate me to do it. And he would also find joy in my anger, in my hatred towards him and what he did to me. So we're all individuals. It depends how you want to approach the situation. If you prefer to reflect or ignore and back off and reduce your time spent with this person, if it's someone that you have to deal with and can't get rid of so easily. Number four, No contact can be easy for a lot of people and situations, but sometimes it's not. I'm not someone to get into conflicts. I prefer to avoid them. I would suggest to just back off, reduce the time spent with this person, and just have a third party involved to communicate between the two of you. But do know that, again, boundaries are a very personal thing, and I can only speak from personal experience. As you can see, I'm not a god. I'm not a psychologist. I know nothing. What I know is what I have lived and what I have experienced. And your situation will differ a lot from mine. That's okay. We're all individuals. But I do want you to know that you don't need to have evidence to have personal boundaries against other people. And if other people have a problem with your boundaries, that's why you need boundaries. And number 3, don't be afraid to say no. If it's something toxic, if it's a toxic person that's trying to get you involved in something, it's very important to say no. You don't need to write up a wall of text. You don't need to have evidence to back up anything. You don't need to confront anyone about anything. You don't need to fight anyone about anything. Just saying a simple no is more than enough of a boundary to have set in place. So learn to say no. If there is anything for you to take away of this video, learn to say no. That will help you to stay out of a lot of bullshit that's around out there. And of course, the other suggestions that I have given you, but you will save yourself of a lot of trouble and drama if you learn to say no. And I feel that a lot of people don't say no enough times, myself included. And this is something that I am learning to work on myself, to learn to say no without justification. Stop justifying yourself as to why you're saying no, why you're declining. Because no, I don't want to. And that will take people by surprise. A lot of people expect you to explain yourself when you are clear and direct, straight to the point, like that. When you say, I don't want to. No, I simply don't want to. When you respond so quickly and dry, it will take a lot of people by surprise, and they might back off. And if they don't, keep persisting or go no contact. And again, boundaries are such a complicated topic. There's so much involved in the topic of boundaries. And I'm going to stop here because, again, this is a long video already, just like the previous one. So I apologize for that. But I do want to invite you to let me know down below in the comment section, how do you set boundaries? Do you analyze the people, situations, environments, or do you just have something already, and whatever happens outside of you, you are ready to use that boundary? How do you set boundaries yourself? How do you get started? Were you taught, or did you have to go through certain scenarios in order to put boundaries in place? I relate a lot with the latter option. I had to go through certain scenarios in order to put boundaries in place. And I'm still learning because, again, there's a lot of scenarios for me to experience in this lifetime. Holy crap. And these were only 2 scenarios that I have experienced thus far. So let me know what you think of this video as well. Next week's topic is unclear yet, but if there is feedback from you guys or something that occurs to me, I will bring it up to you guys in this mini series of boundaries. I'm very curious to know what you guys have to say. And without further ado, I'll let you go. I'll love you and leave you. I hope that you have a fantastic week. And before I let you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell button and click on see all so that you can get all the notifications of any future uploads that I'll be making on this channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.